This is episode 308 of Super League Pod, and it's News Week this week with loads of big stories, including some great trolling and an expensive shit. We chat Smiths, Hardaker and Combies. We still also recap all the round 10 action with your fan views, and then more hefty news as we hit over results from around the world of rugby league. So get strapped in. You might even hear David sing. Hello listeners, welcome along to episode 338 of the Super League Pod. This week it is myself, Mark, and I'm joined by Saints fan David. Welcome back, David.
Thank you very much, Mark. Glad to be back.
Yeah, Saints have been talked about quite a lot in the last couple of weeks, so I'm sure you'll have plenty to say in response.
Hated, adored, never ignored, Mark.
Isn't that a Wigan thing?
Yeah, could be.
Yeah, we used to have a flag when those pricks that own the stadium let us put them up.
Yeah, we can't keep out of the news, that's for sure.
No. So we'll give you a right of response to Alan's comments from a few weeks ago when we get into that. But someone else who always has plenty to say is Rob's Megastore, so let's give them their customary shout out, shall we, David?
Absolutely will. Rob's Megastore stocks a wide variety of toys, stationery, arts and crafts ideas, pet accessories, books and of course rugby league birthday cards. Search for Rob's Megastore on eBay or find the link in our episode blog post on superleaguepod.com. SLP listeners can use the code SLP10, that's SLP10, at checkout to get 10% off any orders over £5. Or you can enter SLP discount and give your 10% towards funding SLP's running costs instead, a worthy cause.
Yep, great stuff. Thanks, Rob's Megastore, for their support. Please support them in return. So what have we got on the show this week? It's a very newsy show. Rather than occasionally this year, haven't we? We've had one big news story or talking point that we've pulled out. This week, we've got several, so we've kind of had to bring back the news section for 1 week only, really. We thought it was going to be Tony Smith, then it was Rohan Smith, then it was fucking Hardaker. We even had the Combies squad announced. So we'll catch up all those on the news section. We'll filter in all the other bits of news about suspensions, injuries, contracts, that sort of stuff as we go through the fan views. Just like St. Helens, really, round 10 isn't the priority as such this week.
No, absolutely not.
But we have still got... Go on.
We'll cover it vaguely, yeah. I think, won't we, Mark? In amongst all the news.
We have got fan views on all of the matches again, but just not as many as normal, probably because we've tried more to get news views in this week. There is plenty to fit in, but we're going to start with a couple of bits of feedback and comments that we've had over the week from stuff we talked about recently. I'm going to start with Paige at FC_Paige. She replied on Sarah's comments about Jake Connor last week. So Sarah last week was talking about Connor not running the ball back enough, not basically working hard enough to an extent, I suppose, with the ball coming out of their own end. And Paige said, I agree with your points on Connor and catching the ball and throwing it out in our own 20. There is literally no point to it. It will bite us on the ass one day when they drop it. So yeah, it seems like Hull fans are maybe getting a bit frustrated with Jake the Snake and his wide booming passes on his own 5-yard line when there's no defenders anywhere near anyone to disrupt.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, I think he's not the only person to do that sort of thing, though, is he? So it's exciting when it works, and when it doesn't, as they say, it can bite you in the arse.
Yeah, and I know in terms of just dropping it off to a winger, Wigan had a season or two where Tompkins did that quite a lot, and the Wigan fans started to get a little frustrated with him. I think part of it as well is because we know how good they are as ball carriers, these kind of players, that it kind of frustrates us when they're giving it to someone else to do and you're thinking it's not getting us on the front foot as well as it could do if they just charged it back in. But then again, you look at like Saints, they do a lot of dropping it off to the wingers, but that's because Makinson is the absolute engine who makes hard yards all the time, and we end up on the front foot because of dropping it off to a winger. So it's kind of like finding the balance, I suppose, and maybe Jake Connor hasn't got it right at the moment. What about Mark got in touch, Huddersfield fan, about when I talked about the ridiculous gap between the shirts, the numbers and the names on the back of Huddersfield shirts. What did Mark get in touch to tell us?
Yeah, this is Mark at Wilco2205. He says there's actually a good reason for the gap between the player names and the numbers on our kit. It's because player layer are completely useless and can't make shirts that match their own designs. I ordered both kits, and the spacing and colour of the sponsors' logos was nothing like the pictures that they have online. So I'd assume it's more of the same with the name and the numbers. 3 months on, still waiting for a refund on my away kit. So frankly, I'm just impressed they seem to be spelling the players' names correctly.
Yeah, there has been a bit actually in sort of filtering out about the kit supplier for Huddersfield. There was a piece in the Rugby League Hub long reads Patreon site about the kit supplier not actually supplying some of the stuff that people have ordered off the online shop. And that's been a problem, and Huddersfield are obviously having to step up to the mark to cover the issues that the kit supplier have clearly caused by, I think, eventually going out of business, which probably means at least they'll be able to get a better kit make on board next year. Neil Ormston got in touch. This is where you come in. I think I think I've been expecting this actually, Neil, because last year he was very upfront on his views about Saints being a boring side, and Alan obviously has said he's bored by St Helens, how things are at the moment, and Neil got in touch. He sent us an email. He said, "Not since it was last mentioned that it's Wigan's 150 year have I shouted at the podcast so much, but this time it was in agreement. Well said, Alan. Really enjoyed the anti-Saints rant the other week. Couldn't have put it better myself. But I kind of disagree. I really hate myself for saying this, but I think it's a year too late. Maybe I'm growing immune or just don't seem to see them as much of a threat this year. Toulouse and Leeds are our real opponents, it seems. But I think they've actually been a lot more watchable this year. Still scummy with their hands in and permanently offside, but at least a bit of attacking flair on show. The main issue this year is how much better than everyone else they are, but I don't actually think they're to blame for that. I've failed to find a proper scapegoat, so we'll just make it a toss-up between Zach Hardaker and Chris Kendall." Yeah, I think I kind of said the same things, didn't I, as Neil, in that they have been more watchable this year, no matter about how much they're the best team at the dark arts as well as they're the best team at other stuff. But I suppose this is your right of reply to Alan.
Yeah, well, I, to be honest, I'm not going to spend a lot of time worrying about it, Mark. I think when you are the best, Wigan were the best team for a long time. When you are the best team, everyone likes to have a pop. I don't have a problem with other fans having a go. My personal view is I don't think Saints are the best team because they're the best team at the dark arts. I think they do what every other side does. I think the reason we're the best team is because we're best at all the other stuff.
I just think you're the best at that too. I think.
I don't think we're any better or worse at the dark arts than anyone else, but I do think we're better at the other stuff, and that's why we're better. But I also agree with Neil. I do think we're a bit more fluent this year. I think we're attacking a bit better this year, so we've not lost the defensive steel that we've had before. But when we've got our players out, when we actually choose to play them, I do think and when they're not suspended, I do think we're a more attractive team to watch this year than we were last year.
Whilst we're on Saints, I guess, and whilst we're talking about why you're better to watch this year than last year, one big reason for that has been Lewis Dodd. And John Wayne said he would have been in the squad on the way he's been playing, so it's a blow for England as well as it's a blow for St Helens. It's real shame, isn't it, that the injury there. How do you think that's going to impact things for Saints?
It's very difficult to tell. I mean, clearly we'll miss him. There's no doubt about that. I mean, if you look at the squad, the Saints squad, the area probably we would picked out. Well, the area we would have picked out at the start of the year that we've got the least depth.
I think we did, didn't we? Talk about it, yeah.
Yeah, he's at halfback. So, Lewis is a key player in the squad. He's part of the reason that we're a more attractive side this year. He's very much learning and growing in the game, so it's a setback for him personally more than anything. But it's clearly a setback for the club. I mean, I don't quite know. We'll see in the next week or two exactly how they're going to respond to losing Lewis for the season. I think there's a lot of speculation amongst the fans about what we might do. Moss last week playing for Saints at Castleford will have given Wolves something to think about, and I think he might get a few games at halfback. I'm not quite sure.
I think he has to get a full-time contract first, doesn't he, to actually train with the first team?
Well, there you are. Yeah, exactly. I've got a feeling.
Do you know what I noted though during the game last week?
Yeah.
Your halfback against Huddersfield had like the least fringe of any halfback in the league, and then your halfback against Castleford had the most fringe of any halfback in the league.
That's a very niche stat. It's a very, very niche stat. I think we only had one halfback against Huddersfield. We really played just with two hookers.
Yeah.
Because Roby definitely wasn't playing scrum half. So I've got a feeling we'll move Wellesby up into the halves, and I think Hopewata's fit this week. I think Hopewata will slide in at fullback. Yeah. Bennison's got a fractured cheekbone. He played 40 minutes against Cass with a fractured cheekbone last week, so he could have been an option to slide in at fullback, but obviously he's not. He's going to be out for a while. So I think Hopewata will probably play fullback and Wellesby will move up into the halves, but we'll see.
Yep, we will see.
Yep. Might not think the same.
No, thanks to those guys getting in touch. Obviously, if you hear anything we talk about this week or see anything that you're not sure if we're going to talk about next week and you want to get in touch, there's plenty of ways to do so and get involved with the show. So on social media, it's at Super League Pod on Twitter and Instagram, or facebook.com/Super League Pod. You can email superleaguepod@gmail.com like Neil did, or visit superleaguepod.com, and there you'll get info on each episode, and you'll get links to the Google Forms where we take your fan views on the matches or on the news, and then obviously we can share and discuss those on the show. And don't forget to subscribe in whatever podcast app you're listening to us on, and leave a rating and review if you can as well. Okay, David, deep breath. We're going to move into
the news.
Lots of it. It was a decision on how we start it. Which one's the biggest story? What order we go in? I think, shall we go in kind of the chronological order of the big three news stories, and then we'll throw in the Combies squad as well into this bit because it doesn't really fit into any other part of the show any better. Let's start with Tony Smith announcing, somewhat to his own club's surprise it feels like, that he's leaving Hull KR at the end of the year. So I'll read the story if you want to then do his quotes after that. So Tony Smith has confirmed that he'll step down as head coach of Hull KR at the end of the current Super League season. The 55-year-old Australian has been at the Robins since 2019 and took the club to within 80 minutes of the grand final in 2021. Smith's 3-year deal will expire at the end of the current campaign, and with Rovers into the semi-finals of the Challenge Cup and 6th in the league as this news came out. I think the 5th now, aren't they? He recently took charge of his 500th career coaching game, and he led the Rovers to a 28-24 win over Toulouse in that match. But he's decided that he will not renew his contract. So what did he have to say about it?
So he said, I won't be coaching at Hull KR beyond the end of this year. I'm going to step aside and hand it over to the next person to pick up the banner and carry it strongly. It saddens me to say it, but I think it's the best thing for the organisation. I have really enjoyed coaching this special group of players, and